Guitar tone aficionados, what's up? It's Pete Thorn. Hey, welcome to my studio. And hey, I've got a pedal here that is completely unique for me, at least. I don't think I've ever yet done a video on an EQ pedal. And the EQ200 has, why am I keep going like this with my hands? The EQ200 has completely actually renewed my interest and reminded me of how powerful an EQ pedal can be in a guitar rig. I might say arguably it's maybe the most powerful pedal that you can add to a rig. You can so radically change your rig with a simple EQ pedal, it's kind of unbelievable. So I used it in a number of different configurations on the song in the beginning of the video. First of all, a little bit of history. Boss was a leader in this field early on, the field of guitar EQ effect pedals. This is the classic GE10, of course, maybe most famously known for being a pedal that Eddie Van Halen sometimes had on his pedal board. He would evidently use it to kind of buffer and boost the long cable run from his pedal board back to his amps when he felt like he was getting loss in his signal live. Whether or not he ever used it on recordings, debatable. Nobody really knows, but they are really, really cool. Tough pedal to make sound bad. You know, you can kind of boost up the EQ sliders and just kind of however you set it, it always sounds good. And then you've got this massively powerful overall level slider here that you can really kick the front end of an amp with. This pedal actually really deserves a video all its own. But anyways, Boss, doing EQs for a long time. Now this thing really takes it into the future. I mean, this is 32-bit processing, 96K sampling rate. It is digital, 128 memory locations available, so you can store your EQ settings, and it's configurable in a whole bunch of different ways. You can actually use it mono, just like a regular guitar EQ pedal, or you can use it in stereo and have two separate EQs, an A and a B EQ, and EQ the two sides separately. But another really, really, really cool way that you can use this EQ, and I don't think there's any other EQ in the market that you can do this with, and I find it incredibly interesting. You can run one EQ pre-distortion and then another one post-distortion. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say you got an amplifier, it's got an effects loop in it and a good overdrive sound. Okay, sometimes you want to run an EQ in front of an amplifier, let's say to change pickup tone, radically alter the tone of a guitar, or maybe you want to boost up the 800 hertz and you know the level control and cut some lows and hit the front end of the amplifier for kind of a snarly mid boost for solos and stuff like that. Well, you could use one of the EQs like that, and then you could use the B EQ, let's say, in the loop of the amplifier to fine-tune post-distortion the tone of your amp and really dial in and carve out a sound that maybe your amplifier is not capable of making on its own. So that's pretty incredible and powerful to have two EQs in this pedal that you can actually configure that way. I find that really interesting. Now, I didn't patch it in like that for the video. I would just kind of manually plug in the EQ either in front of the amp or in the effect loop of the amp, but I did use it in both ways in this video. So for instance, the first tone you heard in the video, the Dan Electro, I seriously hollowed out that tone, kind of carved it out and made almost kind of like a nasal sort of radio sounding guitar tone. I wanted to make it kind of small and focused and very mid-rangey to open the song up with. And then the heavy guitars came in, and I wanted to give that Dan Electro guitar even more girth than it actually has, and I wanted to make my amp actually sound sort of like a more dry, that modern distortion tone. My amplifier's got a very Marshall-based sort of overdrive to it, but if I wanted it to sound like a diesel or something like that, that was what I used the EQ for, to really carve the tone out, carve out some mids, boost some 120 hertz, and actually give it that dry kind of very, very modern sort of tone. So that was done with the EQ200 in the loop of the amp. Then I played some clean parts later with the Dan Electro. I used the EQ200 in the loop of the amp for that as well, to really carve out the clean channel and just kind of really make those clean parts speak. Also, I used it in front of the amplifier to boost all the lead sounds. So boosting the 800 hertz, boosting up the level slider, kicking the front end of the amp into more overdrive and endless kind of sustain, and really fine-tuning the tone. The first lead in the song I played on a S-style, Strat-style guitar, Sur guitar, and I used the neck pickup. I wanted to add some clarity to the neck pickup and really just make that part speak really well while adding a little bit of gain and sustain. And then I went even further with that for the next lead part that comes in. I wanted it to be like super liquidy sustain and just have the part really sing and speak. So that was boosted mids. I might have cut the lows a little bit, I think. Boosted up the level and kicked the amp. Now, I stored those sounds using the presets on the EQ200, and I can step through those by just pushing this switch right here. Oops, I hit the wrong one. This one right here will actually load up the different EQ curves. It's got this great screen on it, I think you can see there, where you can see the different EQ curves load up when I go to the different presets. So you can see exactly what I did on the different sounds. Now, I just stored 4 EQ presets. That's all I did. But as I mentioned, you can store up to 128 different EQ presets in this unit. Another thing I almost forgot to mention, you can actually shift the EQ to different frequency center points. So if you want to use it with a bass guitar, you want to use it with acoustic guitar, they've got a couple different presets built in there. 3 different presets, excuse me, for the center points of the EQ frequencies. There's an expression pedal input built in as well. They basically thought of everything with this thing. Thanks for watching my video on the Boss EQ200 programmable equalizer. This is a really, really incredible pedal, and as I mentioned, it's kind of renewed my interest in EQs, and I'm sort of wondering why I don't have one on my pedal board and in my rig now. And the ability to use it both in front of an amplifier pre-distortion and post the amplifier distortion as well, that's pretty incredible. So check it out further down in the video description below. There's a link you can click. Please hit subscribe if you haven't. Hit the little bell beside the subscribe. You'll get an alert every time I put out a new video. And hit the thumbs up, please, please. If you dug the video, I really appreciate it. Every little bit helps. I'll see you real soon for more videos. I am Pete Thorn. Take care.